Hello everyone and welcome to the Polytopia World Championship qualifiers. Now, I think it's fair to say we've had an upswell of interest and support over the last couple of weeks. This was, I can reveal, our most active qualifier with over 1,500 participants, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. Who am I? Hello, I'm Laith. I hosted the 2025 edition of the Polytopia World Championship. I'm joined by Poly Strategist, who I can exclusively reveal had pepper in his mouth up until 5 seconds before we were due to go live. That was coughing and spluttering in my ear. How are you doing? Are we safe? Are you good?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks. Yeah. I just got the pepper out. I spat it out. I just had a doctor coat before this, so it was stuck in there. And I knew that if I didn't get it out in time, I was going to be coughing on the stream. I didn't want to disturb everyone. So
he's a consummate professional. Are you ready for some Polytopia today? That's the question.
I'm very ready. I'm very excited.
Excellent.
Quetzali is a cool tribe, so excited to dive into that.
Well, before we get into the tribe, for those people who are just joining us, who maybe stumbled upon us in the whims of the algorithm, do you want to explain what it is we're doing here today and how it all works?
Very good question. Well, for the new players, well, we're gonna have the tribe qualifier. So every single tribe will get its own qualifier window, except of course the special tribes. So we're excluding Illyrian, Semanti, all those tribes. But what players are going to do is they're going to compete mirror matches. So with that tribe to decide who becomes that tribe's champion. So for Quetzali, everyone here today is going to be fighting to represent Quetzali in the tribe face-offs. And then what we're going to have is the actual face-offs, where the face-off stage, where this is where the tribe champions face each other. So this is no longer Quetzali versus Quetzali, IMO versus IMO. This is tribe identity versus tribe identity. So the Quetzali representatives here have to prove whether their shields and maybe diplomacy, if they want to go for some cloaks, can stand up against the other stronger economic and aggressive tribes. And then of course, Laith, you're familiar with the championship. Whoever the top 8 players in the face-offs, they will
fight it out, of course, and they'll fight it out live in front of a live studio audience. That was what we had in 2025. You were there as guest, I was there as a host, and I have to say we both enjoyed it thoroughly. Now, you were talking about the tribes. Let's have a little look at the totality of the tribes involved. Now we have already had some qualifiers. We started out with the Kiku tribe. Last week, of course, we had the Imo tribe. So the way this works is we have quarterfinals who are currently running right now. Those semifinals are broadcast live in front of you, and that's what we'll be doing here today. And the finals, of course, will decide the tribal champion. If we take a look at the bracket for last week with the IMO tribe, you can see the journey that was taken by Yeti Peaks. Now, Yeti Peaks, interestingly, was the only person thus far, the first, shall we say, who is a reigning defending tribal chief. Last year, didn't go all the way to the grand final, but was a representative of his tribe and defended it well. Liliberator fell in the quarterfinals, as did Viking the Cat. And these are some sort of names that you might be familiar with because they are just not quite making it into the semi-final or the final each time. But that is all in the past. Let's have a look at today's tribe. Take me through, what are the strengths and weaknesses for the Quetzali tribe? What are we going to be looking for here today?
For sure. Well, Quetzali is one of the regular tribes in Polytopia, of course. They start with strategy, which is a tier 2 technology, and instead of beginning with a normal warrior, they begin with a well, maybe they change it now, but it says warrior here, but they actually should be starting with a defender. But they also start with 7 stars, which I think matters a lot because Quetzali historically struggled with a lot of tempo, as did other certain tribes. And the thing about this tribe is it's not a tier 0 tribe, which means that you can upgrade your capital on turn 0. Now, one of the more funny things is I obviously did a little bit of deep dive into Quetzali, and I learned that from a lore perspective, it says here everyone's favorite bird-loving tribe. The Quetzali are devoted to the bird gods, which is kind of funny. So they have this strong theme around shield rituals and diplomacy and bird worship. Yeah, the competitive, if we kind of look at the pros and cons of Quetzali though, it's that they're not usually viewed as a top 1v1 tribe. And the main reason is very simple. It's because, again, they start with these defenders, which are durable, but they don't attack very well. So a starting defender makes, Quetzali hard to kill quickly, but it doesn't really let them snowball the same way a warrior, a rider, a swordsman, or strong economic start can. So they are going to be very interesting to watch here, how the positioning is. And there are a couple of things that I'm going to be watching this game, which is village tempo. It's going to be capital upgrade timing, also defender positioning, right? Because the defender is not there to really kill anything. It's there to just occupy key tiles, block roads, protect cities, and really force inefficient attacks. And the other and the final thing I would say is diplomacy, right? Because you already start with strategy, and the path towards diplomacy unlocks the special units such as cloaks. You got the daggers. Obviously, we're not going to see embassies here. It'd be weird, but I'm kind of hoping for it though.
It'll be amazing. Yeah. But what we will be seeing, of course, is a very competitive bracket. Now, like I said, the quarterfinals have been ongoing. The first semi-final is going to be Viking the Cat against, do you know how to pronounce this guy's name?
I just say Ka6anos.
Ka6anos I think works. Yeah, Ka6anos. So we'll go for Ka6anos. Versus Ka6anos. So we'll go Ka6anos. Both of these players swept their opponents. Now, Viking swept theirs in the traditional way. Ka6anos swept Nanobot, who is the defending, or at least was the defending Quetzali tribe winner because of a no-show. So this could be interesting to see how those two get on. But that is going to be our first one. Now, I said that you might recognize some names here. Giustini Linguini going into the semi-final with a 2-0, and Le Liberateur and Majak, both of whom featured in the last quarterfinals last week, are now going to see which of those will make it into the semi-finals. A very, very competitive bracket that we'll see. I'm being told that Ka6anos is the name. So there we go. Ka6anos.
Ka6anos. Okay, Ka6anos. Yeah, Ka6anos. Good.
Perfect. Now, talk to me about these players. There are some names that you might recognize, some not. What do you think?
Well, I think if we start off with Innofani, Giustini Linguini here, I think he's going to be doing... it's interesting to see him play Quetzali, though. He was the Zabasi champion last year. So we'll see how he does here. The fact that he sweeped says a lot, right? Like, whenever you sweep an opponent, you have a little bit of an edge. You do know your tribe a little bit better. You can, of course, look into spawn and other stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when you're playing multiple games, really it comes down to your skill level. And Ka6anos, both Ka6anos and Viking the Cat obviously sweeped as well. So looking at this is going to be a tough matchup in this first semi-final here. I'm very excited to see this. I'm a little bit familiar with Ka6anos. I haven't seen Viking the Cat play too much before, so I'm curious to see what his play style is. But again, when you're playing Quetzali, it's going to be a little bit slower than the very aggressive. You're not going to see riders start, despite the fact that most players will actually end up going for riders / archery when they're playing Quetzali, because they do still need that level of tempo. So yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to end up as the tribe final in the finals today.
Do you have an early bet?
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that because we've been betting twice in a row now. It's starting to become tradition here. I'm gonna say Ka6anos and Giustini.
Okay, all right, interesting.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Viking the Cat all the way. That's what I'm gonna go for. I think so. They got knocked out. I think it was the Yadak qualifiers a couple of weeks ago, and they got knocked out in the quarterfinals. I don't think he's gonna let it happen again. I think he's gonna have that rage inside of him. You know, that's my personal that's my personal belief. Look, either way, I think these are the fact that we're seeing these names repeatedly does show how competitive this is. Again, the Liberateur he was one of, there's no other way to say it in my opinion. He was one of the best players in the world in 2025 because he was standing there shoulder to shoulder with the others. He earned his way into that finals and played very well there. And the fact that we haven't even seen him in a semi-final just goes to show the depth of competition. Like I said, 1,500 players competed for this one, and you could compete in future ones. The qualifiers are not yet done. Next week we have, I believe it's the Zabasi tribe, if I'm not mistaken. It's the Zabasi qualifier. So if you think you could do better, if you are a casual or maybe even a competitive Polytopia player, you have nothing to lose. Why not do it? Who knows? It could be you that we're talking about in these qualifiers. It could be you going to the tribal qualifier. It could be you raising a trophy above your head like King Arthur did in the 2025 edition. He himself, a fan of using cloaks. I'm just saying, I think it could be you. I could be talking to anyone here, but it's you. Now, we're going to be getting going with this first semi-final any second now. Ka6anos versus Viking the Cat. Ka6anos we haven't seen in any of these quarterfinals before. Viking the Cat, like I said, we've seen a couple of times. You bet on Ka6anos. I'm just saying, I think, I don't know if the betting line will agree with you here, but we'll have to see. Now, you're talking about defenders, you're talking about positioning, you're talking about these sorts of ideals. Do you think that it's the player that claims land early, or is it the player that maybe takes a bit more of a measured approach that's going to be more suited for this?
Well, I think when you're playing Quetzali, one of the important things is going to be tile movement, right? You don't have that tier 0 upgrade. So where you then position your units is first and foremost going to be very important. Very often Quetzali has a very dense biome of resources, right? So you'll have your org, your hunting, your forestry. So sometimes players might also skip a first warrior and then immediately just level up turn 1. And what happens in that situation is that you'll actually be in a better position to level up your technology because it's going to be cheaper due to the fact that you won't acquire as many villages early on. So it's going to be very exciting.
So you're saying it's going to be really interesting, the early game, basically, is what you're saying, right? The early game, how they set up from there, right?
Absolutely. The early game is going to tell a lot about the direction in which a player moves, and how the game will develop over time as well. So I'm actually very curious to see how these players are going to do that. But
well, your curiosity is going to be assuaged. We jump into the game. Has only been going on 1 or 2 turns here. Let's see how we get on. Ka6anos in. I mean, that's pink, unless you want to give it sort of like a fuchsia name. I don't know, but take me through these sort of start then.
Yeah, so we can tell Ka6anos went for that lighthouse opener. He's got 2 villages already, including his capital, of course. One right next to the lake here. Both players actually got lake access here. Viking the Cat's got 2 villages, goes for the explorer here. Now, I think when it comes to his early game, Viking the Cat is in a better position if we're just talking in terms of villages and expansion. One of the things when it comes to Quetzali is, of course, how fast they're able to acquire villages and also the positioning. So from this spot right here, I think Ka6anos is, well, they're going to discover each other. So they're going to find each other here. I'm surprised he is not moving one of those units north. Okay, he did go for that second warrior because I was about to say he should probably go for another unit there. Finds a new ruin here, so he's got 2 ruins visible, and he sees the border as well, which is interesting. So now he knows that, okay, there's not going to be a village that he can capture immediately. But we can just take a look at the units. He's got double the units now. And this is where Ka6anos goes. Yeah, he's going to expand more north, which is the right play here. He really should, because he knows that he won't be getting any more villages down south due to the fact that Viking is there.
Archery.
And archery. So this is a very typical play that we'll see from Quetzali players. It's that they're going to move either into riders or archery, because again, they do need that level of offensiveness, right?
Is it not interesting that his defenders moved in a bit there?
It is. He wanted to kind of get some vision there. This is really what we saw, right? When it came to the what we spoke about, it's the positioning. So again, the defender is not going to be there to kill anything, right? The defender is there to occupy tiles, block movement, potentially block roads, and just delay. But one of the things that I'm very interested in seeing here is what that ruin might give him. I mean, Viking the cat, as of right now, like I just mentioned, is in a slightly better position. We're gonna see if Ka6anos here discovers a village, and he does. That's gonna be important to him. So you can tell that he's just gonna try and hold off Viking here. He wants to make sure that Viking can't go in. And this is huge for Viking. He just got, look at his runes. So he's got 1 rune where he got resources. So that's an additional 10 resources. He's stepping on another one, which has been cleared of any fog. So it is impossible for this one to give him any explorer here. So he's either going to get population, swordsman, technology, or again, resources. But he gets the early giant. Look at that.
Nice. And he is quite
7 giant.
Close in proximity. It does feel like he could potentially push that forward, have a little bit of the implicit threat there, force a little bit of defense spending from Ka6anos.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if we take a look at, this defender right here, this giant, sorry, it can move forward, but what Ka6anos has done well here is he's gone very aggressively, been building archers to kind of hold off any attack, anything that Viking can launch at him. But I think Ka6anos can also tell, if you look at the score, Ka6anos knows that he's got double the scores. Obviously, he did place a monument, so he knows that he has a giant. He knows, he's upgraded his capital or another village. But the wall there is an interesting play. Not necessarily interesting. It's actually just a straight up good play, really, because it sits.
It's just straight up
it
good.
Sits right next. Yeah, it sits right next to that. His 2 villages there, and he knows that. Viking knows that he can see all these archers in the back there, right? So he's got 4 archers here now, and he knows that he needs some defense there, otherwise that village is going to be in a tricky spot here. But gets another population growth, which is great. So he might actually move into either forestry. He might go for mathematics here. Ka6anos moves in to get a little bit more vision here. He's going to get his 3rd village this turn. In terms of technology, curious to see what he goes here. What he goes for, what technology goes for, if anything. The thing is, he does need to get something here.
That's a big difference in
for
school, like
diplomacy.
you're highlighting,
Look
I will
at that.
say. Yeah, okay, diplomacy.
So-
now talk me through what's the best way for him to use that. That's the cloaks and everything else.
Yeah, so this is turning out to be quite interesting now. So he recognizes that, obviously he's level he's got that level 5 capital. And I think what he wants to do here is try and sneak a cloak in behind. Now, Viking, I don't think he has vision. Or he does, yeah. So Viking can see the cloak now. And Viking can essentially prepare his defense to make sure that that cloak does not get close to his capital. Because if it hits his capital, those daggers are going to be spawning on the edges of that city all around, and they're going to be in range to hit Tizwayas, the village where he had his catapult. So Viking, really what Viking should do here is he should focus on trying to defend that cloak from hitting him. But Ka6anos gets his first village, first rune here, which is going to be good. He needs to catch up because right now, if you look at the map as a whole, Viking is in a much better position due to the fact that he is now freely expanding, whereas Ka6anos, he's focusing all of his troops, all of his units into attacking.
It is an interesting strategy. I don't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that it's a bad strategy either. He's going to know that he's going to be behind on score. And time again, when we cast these things, we say, if you're in a worse position than your opponent, frankly, sometimes the best thing you could do is to put the pressure on, is to advance, is to attack in some way to sort of force that mistake. I mean, do you think he's going to be successful is the question, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And this is a pretty cool positioning from his catapult. Notice that he moved it just in range to hit any unit that spawns in Twazos, Twaz. This is looking like, yeah. If I may be so bold, and to say that might be a quick game, guys.
Go on, give me a turn.
Because look at that. Well, so if you take a look at Ka6anos here, he doesn't have any vision of the villages that where the catapult is. So he doesn't know that that catapult can hit his cloak. He does see that he is towards the east side there, so he has a village there. So Ka6anos knows that, and he knows he has catapults. So he should know that his unit, or any unit that is being produced right now in Toise, is actually in the danger zone. That is the one thing to kind of be considerate about here. So I'm curious if he ends up producing more units in that village as soon as he's able to. But yeah, he can't really... He doesn't have a lot of space to move that. And he doesn't have any bridge access either. So one of the plays, if that mountain tile, or if he had a tile where he was able to produce a bridge, he could maybe attack from the other side there. But that's not going to be... he's not going to be able to do that right now. The one thing we're going to be looking at here, though, is how will he move his units? Because these archers are in a position to really clean up his... yeah, look at that. Goes in and hits that. But these archers are going to be able to try and clean up a lot of these units. But at the same time, if you see, Viking is doing a good job of kind of narrowing down the gap. So there is only one tile of movement where his cloak can go on. Which is going to make it hard for Ka6anos to, yeah, he resigns here.
A quick game
Turn
indeed.
11.
Viking the cat wins. Hey, look, I don't want to say I told you so, but I did tell you so. Right, well, what's your take on that game holistically then? I mean, you told me a few turns back, hey, it might be a quick one, but did that progress how you expected it to?
Well, again, I looked at the opener that Viking had there, and he was expanding very well. This is really what we see, right? When you're playing Quetzali, it's that early movement. Which direction do you move? How do you play? You saw that at Ka6anos, we obviously missed the first 2 turns there, but he went back to discover that lighthouse.
Yes.
Was that a mistake? I believe it is. He should have really tried to focus on expansion when it comes to Quetzali, because when you're playing Quetzali, you're not really in an aggressive position to dominate with certain units.
Yes.
You have to make sure that your units are placed correctly and you're able to efficiently acquire villages as fast as possible. Otherwise, you're going to be behind. And this is exactly what we saw in this game. Viking was just much quicker at expanding. He did have a free range of villages on that side, but the same could have been the case for Ka6anos. We didn't see the vision there because he didn't go for the explorer. But then again, if he had done a similar strategy of expanding towards the northeast side, he could have probably discovered a couple of villages and been in a similar position himself. So,
well, now it's his turn to see if he can strike back as we go straight into the second game. Now, let's not forget, this is a best out of 3. So we could see a reverse sweep here from Ka6anos. We can see a sweep, obviously, from Viking the Cat. But more often than not, we've seen these kinds of games go the distance. A 2-1 is usually how it gets squeezed through. So take me through these opening moves.
Yes. Well, he does find a village. So when you're playing Quetzali as well, resources, again, they have a very densely populated resource around their villages. So moving towards resources is typically the correct play here. Now, Ka6anos spawned right next to, very close to the lighthouse. Went for the lighthouse again, and also found a village there, which is great for him because he got an extra level up. He gets organization here. And this is a little bit interesting here because right now, if we take a look at this map, Ka6anos is all the way in the corner here. Viking the Cat spawned a little bit more center. So he's obviously going to be able to acquire that village towards the south here, which is very close to Ka6anos' border here. Thus, again, restricting Ka6anos from expanding in that direction, unless, of course, he can try and siege it. So he's not going to have enough to siege due to the fact that, unless he goes for an archer. So, does he go for archery here?
Let's find out.
I don't think he can
Hunting.
afford it. Hunting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So he might want to try and go for. Is he gonna try and? No, he can't do that either. I'm trying to look at what potential plays he could do here, to try and kick him off there. But there is not a lot that he can do with his current stars. Obviously, he spent them all now. But yeah, as I mentioned, he can't really move in that direction unless he kicks him off the village there. So there is going to be some early fighting here. Decided not to attack. So what Ka6anos needs to hope for here is villages and a path that leads a little bit towards the northeast here. That is going to allow him to acquire those villages, which he really needs. Currently, it's quite equal. Both are in 3 cities, right? So we're looking at similar amount of cities, but Ka6anos desperately needs villages here.
Yes.
And if we take a look at, Viking the Cat's point of view here, he's got, more room to play with.
More room, and has just found another village.
In the northwest. So he's most likely, from this position, he's most likely going to lock the full west side of or the east side of the map down, the northeast side. He also has free access towards the southeast here, where you also, towards the lighthouse, where there most likely also is another village. So, looking at the, if I were Ka6anos here, I'd most likely try and go for a little bit of expansion, but at the same time consider how can I also get into that water, because you got 2 water tiles here. So these 2 water tiles can make a big difference. If you look at Viking the Cat's villages, he has 0 water access at this point. 0. Mm-hmm. And so if Ka6anos plays this right, he could actually move onto the water faster, and then hopefully get an edge with that, because Viking the Cat needs border growth to get. Yeah,
it's a good point. Let's see how much of Ka6anos can see of Viking the Cat's villages, because obviously, from our point of view, now will he know that he doesn't have that kind of water access and that a route to victory would be going there? That's kind of the thing. He did obviously send a warrior to the east, which got instantly rebuffed. So, what would you do? Looking at the situation, what do you do now if you're Ka6anos?
Well, if I'm Ka6anos right here, I'm not
knowing what he knows, to be clear, not what we know.
Yeah. So if I'm Ka6anos right now, playing from this position, I'm most likely going to try and make a push towards the village there. He did go for mathematics, so as soon as I've done that, I'd probably try and move as fast as I can on the water here, simply due to the fact that I want more vision, I want more access to stuff, because I'm very restricted here. So there's really 2 paths that I can go. One of them is try and force an aggressive push onto Viking here. Because you're looking at the points here, Ka6anos knows that he's up. So this is a little bit of a different opener than what we've seen last game, where Viking was just leading very fast compared to Ka6anos. Viking also did decide to skip the village that he found with his defender earlier on, instead opting to go for further expansion with his defender. So what he wants to try and do here is get some access to cities and villages that really are towards the side of the map where, he knows Ka6anos most likely isn't quite yet. So he wants to rush one of these villages in case Ka6anos sent a warrior up there. But then again, the village that he's just about to acquire or step on with his defender the turn after this one is going to have water access. So Ka6anos obviously doesn't know. But Ka6anos'
but he's
best
pushing
play
forward,
here is
yeah.
really just to push. Yeah.
He is, and that's what he's doing. He's got a defender and a giant. He picks up riding as well. Yeah, I think he's going to push.
Is most certainly going to push here. As he should, really, because again, you have to play with what you have, right? So did he just get stars? What did he get there? Yeah, he got stars. So he got 10 stars, and it looks like he got archery from the other rune. So that is a very lucky, because now he's going to be able to defend, gets the explorer here, gets vision.
That's a lot of vision. Gets the lighthouse as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all the vision he could possibly need. that's everything right there.
That's all.
It looks like he's going to go pick up the villages there in the north as well. Do you think he tries at all to stem the push on this village here? Oh, he might.
Well, the fact that he just got archers means that he's going to be able to fight back. He might actually lose this village, just about. But look at these mines as well around there. You know, like there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a very close proximity there. He's going to be able to get a, if you moved into forgery here, smithery, he's going to be able to place a forge down, which is going to give him a huge boost of population, which might actually save him with a giant push. So I'm curious to see if he goes, because the giant needs another 2 turns, right? So this turn and then next turn to siege that. So I'm going to be very curious to see if he actually goes in and goes through the siege here. I think he should, purely because of, his limited vision. The thing is, Ka6anos doesn't know that Viking has these archers yet, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be like a surprise attack from Viking, where like all of a sudden he has the archers, and he knows that Viking is slowly catching up here. But look at the villages. It has been the same. Viking is now most likely going to capture 2 villages this turn, unless he decides to delay and maybe go for some technology for a turn or 2.
He is thinking. He's taking his time here. Because you say the archers, I mean, he has only 1 archer there. I mean, like I said, he does have a defender on the village, but to what extent do you think he should just pull back from this and set up a defensive line sort of further north?
Well, I think what he can do here, because again, if Ka6anos gets that village, he will have access to the mining, right? But I haven't seen, Ka6anos doesn't have climbing, so he doesn't know that there's a lot of mines that he can actually use here. But now, yeah, he's going to see that, oh, he has archers. Well. And both players have mathematics as well, so we're going to see these big catapults. So that giant is actually going to die quite fast. He will be able to siege next turn, though, hitting that. He's got a catapult in the back there. So if I were Viking, I would probably let him take this, because I mean, you look at the catapult in the back, you look at the, Viking knows he has the riders set up. He can try and fight back. Yeah, so he's going to go for the siege here. Hitting that archer, which is good,
Finds another city and a ruin. Okay, nice.
And that is important. So he could have, he could have stepped onto that ruin, but that would have been a mistake. He wants villages as fast as possible. He wants more villages, desperately. And he's also set up a very nice little market spot here if he wants to go for that. So this might actually, despite the fact that Viking the Cat now has the upper hand with the villages, well, he has got double the villages. Viking the Cat can't unsiege this unless he goes for... Yeah, but he doesn't have enough. Yeah,
no, he doesn't. I don't think he can unsiege it at all.
Yeah, so he can unsiege
the city of Tults will now be under new management, which will actually bring the city count a little bit more in line with Well,
Yeah.
quality, I should say.
Well, next turn, they're both gonna be at 5 cities. All right, so Ka6anos is gonna siege that village, and then he's gonna be able to step on that other village, which is gonna put them both at 5 cities, unless of course Viking finds a village up there in the north. He doesn't go for an explorer. He knows that, well, the north is pretty much free for me, so there's no reason to try and force a vision there right now. But what he's doing right now is he's just banking economy. He's trying to get rich, make money, so he has more options. Similar to, you know, one of the things that we've seen when I went and commented on Wenger, you know, certain times we'll just see players, okay, they're in a position where right now we're just going to go for economy. We're not going to do too much pushing because all I can do right now is just try and set myself up for a fast takeover.
It discovers a giant and a lot of troops behind him. That's not what you want to see when you push your rider deep into the enemy territory.
So that tells him a lot here. He sees the giant, he sees the archers, he sees that he's got a couple of villages in the back there. Gets a nice level up here, second giant moving in, and you're seeing Ka6anos is now going very aggressive, right? So he's now going to be able to capture that other village next turn, which is again going to put them, you know, both equal.
Yes.
At the same time, though, you look at Viking on the north side there, so there's a little bit of action happening. I actually want to go back to that later. Let's look at the action here. So moves his giant one tile down right next to that mountain there. I think we might look at a potential just defense going on here. I would be surprised to see Viking force an attack, considering the fact that Viking, considering the fact that Ka6anos has all these troops in the back there. So yeah, what we'll also see here is there is most likely going to be a village, I think, right next to the lighthouse there. So if there is, that's going to put Viking one village up.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's going to be a little while before he gets there. I think we'll have a definitive conclusion before that village even comes into play here. I think there's going to be a bit of a clash. I mean, look, usually it's turn 11. I'll say this. This does feel like a very different game than the previous weeks, right? This feels a little bit more militarized a little bit earlier, which is surprising to me. It's not exactly what I was expecting. Maybe a bit naive of me, but there it is.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Quetzali can go both ways, right? You can either have a very aggressive opener where you're kind of forced to do so just because of the fact that you have, you know, we've seen 2 games in a row now, Ka6anos against Viking. They've both spawned very close to each other, right? I think they discovered each other this game, what was it, turn 4, last game, something similar. So that forces the other player to think, okay, well now, one of us is gonna either just not attack, or one of us is gonna attack, and then, you know, the other obviously has to defend and retaliate. So Ka6anos' position here, though, he sees that Viking is 1,000 points up, but at the same time, he knows he can defend for a little bit, goes for trade. So yeah, one of the things that I mentioned earlier was trade was an option, and if you take a look at the nice little spot there, there we go, right in between the 2 sawmills. Now, because he didn't go for the border growth, he's not going to be able to play 2 here. And this actually, you know, if I were playing, I'd probably, it might sound a little bit, you know, and again, I'm not at these guys' level, so, you know, there's probably
you don't have to preface your commentary with a disclaimer. These guys, frankly, they've beaten 1,500 other participants to get it. I think their skill level isn't in any sort of question, but they're still human. Again, Explorer, that's not ideal for him. But go on. Now, with the disclaimer out of the way, say what you're going to say.
Well, I would have probably done a border growth there in that south village, simply due to the fact that I would have still been able to get the resources required to level up my village, and I would have been able to place that second market, and it's not like I really desperately needed that giant that turn. Obviously, Ka6anos might have thought, I don't really know, but what Viking has. But at the same time, I think long term, because Ka6anos needs to think a little bit long term here. If I'm Ka6anos, I'm just gonna try and hold on to that village. I'm gonna set up a couple of catapults. I don't think Viking is anywhere near going for knights, so I'm not too threatened by that. And I'm gonna try and get to the ocean and build some ocean and lake dominance, navy, essentially. And that will set him up to, pressure those other villages. It's going to allow him to pressure all of the shoreline there where he has that village where he border growthed. And he's going to be able to fend off these archers that are on the edge there with scouts and potentially even later bombers. Now, both of them are similar stars, both 25 stars. So, looking at this, Ka6anos hopefully recognizes that a push here is not going to yield much, right? Because he's got the catapults, he's got the archers. There's no need to push here. Gets a nice little explorer, finds that. Unfortunately, doesn't get the little tile of fog there. So the only worry now for Ka6anos is this might be an explorer, and if it is, I'd probably want to go for a fishing before I actually capture that, just in case, because that's going to allow him to kind of hack and go across the water there. But yeah, you can tell Ka6anos is now just setting up his defense. He's making sure that Viking doesn't get a hold of that village. Surprised to see. Well, no, actually, I was just gonna say I'm surprised to see him not going for another catapult here. But then again, he is considering his next couple of turns. He needs to either go for mining here, smithery, move into that, or he should go for the ocean here. Go for ports, so he can get into the water. He's already got roads, so he's going to be able to connect those cities. But from this position here, goes for the extra market here. But I really hope to see him go for water access. I think that would be the correct play for him here.
Yeah, I completely agree. But you're saying he wasn't going to push, but he is. He's poking. He's not quite pushing, but he is poking. Now, let's see how Viking the cat responds to this act of flagrant aggression, or defensive aggression, you might say. Now, I think you're right. I think we're going to have a very cagey run here on the ground. Both these players have quite similar numbers across the board, so I do agree with you that I think it's going to come down to fighting the water. Generally, we've seen water fights be a little bit more decisive than their land counterparts, where it can go a little bit back and forth quite quickly. Yeah. If you're Viking the cat here, and you've got this plethora, this assortment of arch, I think he is pushing. Do you think that's the right call?
Well, he does have 2 giants compared to the one that Ka6anos has.
What? Ka6anos has one in the back, behind Jawas, as well. So, he does have 2, but obviously not on the front lines. Yeah, so it's not on the front line. I think this could either be a distraction, to kind of force Ka6anos to try and make sure that he also forces the fight there. Viking the cat is, because again, he's in a good position in terms of his villages, right? He's got access towards, all the way across the top there, but they're at the same amount of villages here. If I'm Viking, I want to hold. I want to see where this goes. I'm going to try and poke, get his units low, try and see if I can maybe do something here. I know I have a catapult. I know I have, 3 archers, 2 archers. I have riding now. I have all these warriors in the back. And I'm just going to try and, force a little bit of a fight there. But I think the correct play here would be to
I actually think what he's doing is correct, because I was in my head right now. There are two options. Oh yeah, look, this is great. I'm happy to see Ka6anos go for the water. This is great. Gets fishing here, gets a port, activates, the water axis here. And I think this is gonna set him up, because he's now gonna, hopefully he can get some vision towards the top here. If he gets some vision towards the top, he's going to be able to see what's going on and know that, okay, so Viking has a village with water axes. He technically has water axes, right there as well in the center where his capital is.
Let's trade.
Yeah, gets trade as well. He saw that Ka6anos went for trade. He's like, okay, well, I'm in a position to go for trade too.
I also like perusing the stocks.
Yeah. So he's just going to keep hacking away at him here. And he's definitely making a push. He does have the unit
count at the end of the day. He does have the unit count difference. Now he has lost, obviously, a couple more units. But if Ka6anos is going to go in the water, maybe he should be pushing on the land.
Yeah, I think, obviously Ka6anos could not afford to lose any cities. Oh, okay, so that is that's a tough one here. Losing his catapult like that is a lot of damage per turn lost. Ka6anos obviously could have done a little bit of a better job defending that. But then again, maybe it also was a bait. Resources is great for him here, because again, this is going to give him option to do a lot. So he can either now move into scouts, maybe into bombers. Like, imagine this: he gets some units, a defender maybe at Quetzali here, sets that up in the water, positions a bomber right next to the mountain there, or the mine in the ocean on that tile, right next to that in between those fog. And then he could just keep bombing, right? And then kind of keep Viking at a bay. So gets the second giant here, a nice little clear of the fog to kind of connect those two. And remember, he's got 37 stars left. 37 stars.
That's a lot of stars
to use. To do a lot. Yeah.
Now look at the turn timers though. It does feel like Ka6anos does take that little bit longer than Viking the Cat.
Yes. So gets the defender there. So this is, he's gonna go for the water here. Hopefully he pushes him in. Yeah, it does. Nice. So so Ka6anos is like, yeah, I could probably go into the bombers here and maybe scouts even, which is gonna really make this quite difficult for Viking unless he himself goes for a little bit of a fishing, because he can see that he's in the water now, obviously.
He might favor his advantage on land, though, is the thing. He might think to himself, well, he's already in the water, which would be a mistake in my opinion, but that could be the case.
Well, I mean, he's got 3 giants back to back. I think if Ka6anos wants to do something here, he should most likely see if he can go for some more catapults so that he's able to better defend against that push that is coming on the land there. Because that land push is gonna... Okay, I'm a little bit interested. Well, actually, Viking the Cat is probably thinking 2 turns ahead here.
Okay.
So if you looked at that catapult that he just produced, it's not going to do much for the next 2 turns, but he is on the ocean here. Viking doesn't know what kind of vision Ka6anos has. Yeah, there we go. So gets
sailing and navigation.
Gets the bombers.
Bombers, yep.
Boom.
That's a lot of damage.
That is a lot of damage.
I mean, and it doesn't seem to me like Viking's gonna have any answer for those bombers.
Yeah, and take a look at his giant that is kind of blocking his bomber there. He's not going to move that. He shouldn't move that, because now he just wants to heal that up and make sure that his bomber just can stay. Goes for a nice little scout here. question is, does he... Yeah, so he's going to go in, kill the catapult. Okay.
Well, let's free
So
reign of the
now-
water now. It's going to be danger for Viking until he gets his own control. And it might be too late. Look at the 13 kills to 6. That's a lot of wasted stars. 13 kills to 6.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know. Viking went for that push, and Ka6anos went for the ocean here, went for fishing, got sailing and navigation, is in a better position now due to the fact that he has water access. And you know, I was actually looking at Nanobot's gameplay from last year when he won the Quetzali playoffs, and one of the things that he was mentioning was like, if you get on the water fast, you know, that can really be pivotal to winning the game, because whoever controls the ocean, I've said it before, controls a lot of the game, just due to the fact that you have a playing field where the other player can't hit you unless they have catapults. But if you then have bombers, and you can just make value trade a lot better. So
that's what it comes down to. Those bombers, like you say, the value trade is there. I mean, that singular hit that was last turn did so much damage compared to the sort of normal whittling away that we see in Polytopia. Splash damage is elite when it comes to the prioritization of troops.
Yeah. And, you know, Viking is also doing a good job of setting up his defense here, because he knows that now that Ka6anos is on the water, those villages that are right next to, well, that one village in particular, that is right next to the ocean there, is going to be in range of a siege. And mind you, Ka6anos doesn't know that he has all these catapults in the back there. So if he tries to send his giant up there, he's gonna have a nice little surprise. You know, just being hit by 2-3 bombers or catapults. But the question then is, how much is that? That's what, 25-30 damage? So we'll see if he's gonna be able to siege here, but he needs to be able to somehow get his bombers in range to hit the back line there, which is going to be tricky. So he needs to kind of set them up both at a time if he wants to do something there. Then again, it's that lack of vision. He doesn't have it.
That's a temporary problem, in my opinion. I don't think that problem is going to be lasting sort of forever in that one, you know? You will get vision.
He will eventually get some vision there. Will he get vision all the way in the back? There are no more explorers to be used, so he's not gonna find the lighthouses anytime soon. But he will, you know, like for example, look at Viking's map here. Viking has basically complete vision of the map, apart from that little center there. But yeah, nice little push there. Gets the push. His catapult was able to kind of poke that giant a little bit there. And Viking is now gonna go for his own little giant here, set that up for next turn most likely, or this turn.
It looks like he's trying to open up another front here.
Yeah. So 4 catapults in the back there. Viking is realizing like, yeah, I don't know if I can, you know, kind of siege. He's got 3 giants there. He's got 2 giants himself. Ka6anos got 3 giants. He's got 4 or 5 riders in the back. He's got a bomber. He potentially has another bomber if he wants to, you know, with that 1 rider there. So Viking is like, okay, you know what? I need to shift my focus towards the other side of the map. He's now shifted his focus towards the north so that he can then, first of all, set up a line of defense, considering that Ka6anos is now on the water. So, you know, he needs to be thinking defensively. The second thing is, how can he now, or if I'm him, how can I now try and gain a little bit of control so I can get access on the water myself? It is going to be hard. It's going to be really hard, and that is simply due to the fact that he's very limited by his port access. So he only has, you know, 1-2 villages that he can put ports in. Can he do it safely? Now that's another question, right?
Yeah. now.
So,
ooh, chivalry.
okay, goes for chivalry here. That is a cool play. I'm curious to see how he's gonna play this. Like, he obviously wants to try and access the backline there. Viking is gonna be able to see them. He's gonna be able to play around them, and he has a lot of vision. So, you know, it's gonna be interesting to see how he moves his units. Then again,
he's also
goes for chivalry himself. Yeah, look at that.
This feels cagey. I just don't see where someone would make a play. You know what I mean? Like, where do you think the break is going to happen, and who do you think it's going to be for?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now they're going chivalry, so they're probably going to look for a nice sweep. If one of both players gets a push, you know, gets a nice chain with chivalry, it's going to be an instant moral defeat. That player is going to be like, nope, I'm done. You know, I'm not gonna come back from this. So I think the real break here is one or two players is gonna want to have to try and break through those giants. But then if you look at Ka6anos here, look at his positioning when it comes to those giants and the units in the back. Even if Viking is able to break through to those giants and kill one of them, there is nothing that they can chain into those knights, right? And the same really is true for Viking. He's got 3 giants before he can get access to his first little rider, and I'll have to double check after this, but I'm not too sure if that rider is connected to more units. And if it isn't, then yeah, congratulations, you got 1 rider. But yeah, those giants are just too big to kind of.
Well, they both have their front lines of giants, and they're kind of just whittling away at each other. Okay.
So here, you know, this didn't do that much, right? Like, he's gonna be able
okay, good, because I thought I was missing something.
He's gonna easily be able to unsiege that. And then,
it does deny him the income, to be fair, and maybe he's thinking, well, that knight wasn't going to do anything anyway. It does feel like he's spreading out his troops. He doesn't want to take the damage from the bomber anymore, and now has another front he has to focus on. Does get a giant to compensate, but let's not forget there's a scout right there. There's a couple of bombers behind. Command of the Ocean is firmly in the hands of Ka6anos here. Oh.
Yes.
Okay, 2 giants now.
So gets.
It's just, again, he does have to super, like, look at the income difference. That's a massive, massive income difference. So maybe he's thinking, I'm going to turtle up. I'm just going to keep building up. Like, sure, he's had more kills than me, but I can afford the attrition. And that could be a route to victory. I'm not sure where we'd go, you know?
Well, if I'm Ka6anos here, first of all, I'd make sure that any giant that is put into the ocean is not going to do much. And it's looking like that is going to be his play. I mean, look at where he just positioned his bomber. That is actually good positioning because he's going to be able to hit both sides, right? He's going to be able to hit the north side and sort of towards the south, the southeast there. So both of those villages are now in range of that 1 rider bomber. He's positioning a lot more units in the water, setting himself up to kind of poke these giants. So if they actually end up going into the water, he's able to kind of hack them down. But, and this is a very cool play, actually. I wish I could have mentioned this, because in the back of my head, I was thinking about this, but I know you have a tendency to be like, oh yeah, sure, buddy. But anyways, diplomacy was something that I did think about. I was like, well,
okay,
another
buddy,
angle
sure.
that he, yeah, there we go. Another angle that he could go for here is diplomacy, and he does. Because as long as Viking doesn't have water access, he can hit that village for free with his cloaks, right? Producing daggers. And they're going to be spawning onto that lake as well, which is just going to give him an influx of units. And if he wants, he could probably also even try and hit Wazel, right? His capital. So,
oh, here we go.
Yeah,
fishing.
This is where we see Viking is now going to go for the water.
Nice, good stuff.
And this is really where, you know, what Ka6anos needs to do here is he needs to make sure that these giants don't get close to his bombers. These bombers are very expensive units.
Yes.
15 stars plus the additional stars required for the unit to wield to be in them. So, you know, he wants to defend these bombers. He needs to somehow set up a defense You know, maybe move his giant in front of that. But look at that catapult on the mountain as well. He is really positioning himself to deal with the water from the land here. And Viking is playing this rather correctly. I mean, actually, I would say correctly, because what he's doing here is he's 10 turns ago, I think he started producing catapults on the north side, right?
Yeah.
And they have been there ready to kind of, you know, push. And this is nice. He's going to try and reduce a lot of damage. The question is, does he move these catapults or does he hit? I'd be very curious to see this, because he can either hit the north side there to kind of damage that.
There you go.
Okay, so he
does.
Yeah. He hits that giant.
But then, like you say, those bombs are going to be exposed, so he's going to have to start moving some of those. Well, he's got, what, 5 rafts in the water?
Yeah. He's got a lot more rafts in the back there.
There we go, ramming. I think that's what we're expecting, right?
Mm-hmm. So he wants defense. He wants to make sure that he can kind of deal with these giants, which is really what he should be doing to try and maintain his defense here.
Yeah, I mean, he can only... Nice, giant gone. I mean, Viking can only put at present 2 units into the water at any given time, which puts him in a massive disadvantage. Sure, you might have a superior economy. That doesn't matter much when you can't shuffle that into sort of frontline play. So I think it is a good idea for Viking to open up these multiple fronts, try and use that, leverage that better economy so that he can produce more troops, try and deny that village in the south, and sort of generally be everywhere to counter this sort of naval play, and hope that there comes a moment where, let's say, Ka6anos has to move a lot of ships south to deal with a certain push, has to move his bombers south, and then suddenly that opens up the north for him to put a couple of ships into. Equally, Ka6anos cannot let that happen. He cannot allow, every time that a ship goes into the water, he has to hit it. No matter what it is, no matter what the cost, can't afford. This is his edge. And if he gives it up, I think that's over. One thing to note, I think Viking is also picking up a couple of these knights in preparation for these cloaks. Because obviously chaining and attacking those daggers that will come out of it. And a single knight can do a lot of cleanup in that regard.
Yeah, and one thing that we should also pay attention to is obviously both, well, Viking. I don't know if Ka6anos has archery, but he should probably go for archery just to get the forestry bonus, the defense bonus. The same one that you get when you have climbing on mountains. You should probably go for archery so that when those cloaks actually end up spawning, the knights cannot one-shot them.
Nice, very nice there.
Yeah, gets those rammers. And he's going to try and clean those up beautiful, because now he can move that giant into where those bombers are.
Well, he doesn't know that there are bombers there. I think you can assume, right? Because he's been attacked from that direction.
Oh, yeah. He should have an idea, right? Due to the fact that his vision, you know, it has to be one of those tiles there.
He's getting them in the water. Here's the play now. Basically, this game comes down to, can he get his guys into the water? What can Ka6anos do? And also, does he know? Okay, some sailing. Wow, there you go. Perfect location.
Yeah.
Not quite finishing off, but that's a lot of damage. And he's there. And now, frankly, I think he should push on the southern front as well. But he does, yep, swaps them out. Threaten that southern front at the same time. Force them to be everywhere. This is very strong for Viking the Cat. Very, very strong indeed.
This is very good play. And again, look at the star difference like you mentioned a couple of turns ago, right? Like he is 17 stars more per turn here. So he can do more. And
another
the question now, can Ka6anos hold off this attack on the water, right? Obviously, his bomber just got reduced to 1. I'd probably put it back. He's got a nice little cloak set up there as well. So the question is, can he get that activated? It's going to give him a nice bunch of stars back. But he wants to... Okay, so he keeps it there.
Well, I think he knows he's dead anyway, right?
Yeah, most likely. I mean, unless he can kill that one giant there, which I don't think he can this turn.
No, I don't think he can. Actually, how much damage does a rammer do?
8, 10? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think... I'm trying to check my maths here. I think he can, but it's not ideal, really.
Okay. Goes for a little bit of a push there.
Nice. Very nice. Look at that. Nice little chain. That might cause a resignation. We've seen that before. Let's see. Does he get rid of that giant? Oh, man. Night chains are so satisfying. It's only the second time we've seen someone hit it.
They're always satisfying, man. They're always so satisfying. Whenever it happens, it's always like, oh, look at that. It's but it's because, you know, a night chain is just, you know, it's
nice.
that gap,
Clears the
it's
giant.
that exposure. Yeah.
Clears that giant.
So
That, honestly, you got to think, Viking, is he thinking about resignation? I mean, look at the difference in kills. 24 to 15. You know, what can he do? He's been denied access. Now he has a knight basically on his capital. He's going to have to defend that as well. You know, I mean, look at the turn timers as well. 8 minutes on the clock versus 40 seconds. So you have to think, obviously, there's something Viking can do. He is ahead in score. He is ahead in stars. But it's a little bit demoralizing when someone just sneaks up behind you and waltzes with your troops.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this game and I'm just like, okay, so Viking has the economic advantage. He does have, you know, a strong defense on the land. Like, it's going to be very hard for Ka6anos here to try and, you know, try and siege anything, unless, of course, you can get a beautiful night chain, which we just saw. I mean, we did see a little bit of a gap there, so he was able to get the 3 kills, get his unit up to a veteran, and, you know, still has the 2 giants here, so he needs to try and just kill those giants. And hopefully pop a cloak there as well. Yeah.
Very nice little move.
So look at the knight in the back there as well. Like yeah.
There we go. Lovely. Wherever they can, they're getting these sort of secondary attacks off. Nice. Gets rid of the giant.
Yeah.
Every time they take a play, it swings into the other direction. Again, I do still think Viking has. Now he can afford to take more losses. You know what I mean? That's the key part. He can afford to push the pace, keep these units going. And we've said before, attritional warfare suits him really nicely. So yeah, 3-1 losing on a night chain's not great, but if he can keep the pressure up and keep pushing forwards, that's where he'll be. And we saw obviously those expensive units. One of the bombers is now down, and just he's got 2 giants in the water. We're starting to see that. I don't think that Ka6anos is going to stop Viking from getting to the water. I think that is that's going to be a sort of key to success here.
Yes,
interesting
and,
game.
You know, like
far.
Absolutely. And one of the things that, you know, Ka6anos had to do for the majority of the game was to try and apply pressure on the water, right? Whereas Viking the Cat was really just building up his defense, his economy. And this is now paying off because Viking has a lot more options.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whereas, you know, he's got a lot more giants. Ka6anos, you know, still, he went for chivalry. He went for diplomacy here. These are not really resource producing, unless of course the cloak can connect. So now, just because of the fact that Ka6anos spent all these stars on his navy, he's going to be a little bit behind, just because of the fact that Viking didn't do that and instead delayed. But now Viking has all of these giants, which might be just enough to overwhelm Ka6anos and take that win.
Well, the cloak's sneaking. He's doing it.
But yeah, Cloak is trying to sneak there. But if you take a look at this, he's got 2 giants in the water still. One of them very low, but still, he needs to deal with that.
That giant.
And then he's
got. There we go.
He's got that other giant in the back. And then he most likely has another giant coming into the water. So the question now, can Ka6anos hold him off? He's going to try and deal with those
He's doing his
knights.
best job, honestly. He really is. Look at the kill difference, and that's insane. That's a lot of dead troops. You have to think, if those kills were flipped, Ka6anos would be in the dirt right now. And
Viking can afford it, though.
And that's the key part. But I will say Ka6anos is doing a phenomenal job of keeping the waters clear. That is his nice little castable there. That is his route to success. Like, if Viking gets on the water, it's over. Now, he's going to probably start to get second giant into the water in a couple of turns' time. He has 58 stars. What can he do with them? I would say he's also doing a nice job of spreading out his where he's getting his troops from. You know, there's not a single city that's sort of capped, which is very nice. And anytime there is a push in the south, he is countering it. He is stopping that from progressing further. There we go. Takes the city.
Okay, yeah. So this is
I think this is the full push.
This is one of those. Yeah, this is going to be the full push here. Very well played by Viking here, because in Polytopia as well, it's all about also figuring out when is a good time for me to make a move, right? You're waiting for your opponent to make a mistake, to become impatient, to make an attack, and and your goal as a Polytopia player is to really try and expose that vulnerability in that specific moment, in that situation. And this is what we're seeing here. Viking the Cat now has 3-4 giants all stacked in the middle here. Ka6anos is gonna have a hard time trying to fight back to this, because he has one knight in the back. Yeah, sure, he might be able to deal with that giant here, but then what, right?
There's just 2 more, Can he deal with it? I don't know if he can.
Well, he has a bomber that can hit him, but at the same time, he's got to focus on the ocean, right?
See, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, what does he have on him right now that can?
So he can hit that bomber, that HHP bomber, and hit the 40 HP one, and then he can try and do some damage with these riders. He's gonna be able to knock off the giant from his village. He's gonna be able to unsiege if he wants to. The question then is he going to be able to keep this up for the next 2 turns while also defending the ocean here?
Yeah, he doesn't. He prioritizes the ocean instead of moving that bomber in. I don't think he's going to contest that giant. I really don't.
Yes, and we also need to take into consideration the time. 30 seconds compared to Vikings 9 minutes.
Yep.
Viking the Cat can literally go for a toilet break here and come back and still have time left. Like... That's how much time he has. It's like, nah, I'm just gonna take a little bit of a,
just hang out a little bit. Still. All right.
There so he gets the cloak here. That's good. That's great for him.
But there's the knight right there.
Yeah. So he doesn't have archery, so that knight might actually just pop these cloaks.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no, yeah, he goes for archery. Yeah. So he gets archery. You recognize like, okay, I need that defense. So now every single, let's see here, is he gonna be able to clear all those? 1, 2, so you're gonna be able to go 2, and then maybe 3. Okay, he's gonna be able to do some damage here. Okay, sieging again here.
Nice.
Now, can he hold this off? Gonna be tough.
I think he can.
Gonna be very tough. He has a.
I think he can. I think he gets the siege and it's done.
Yeah.
What does he do with in the west? Navigation. Okay.
Ooh.
Gets the bomber. Very nice.
Oh, this is gonna be
very nice.
Yeah, this is it. So I think his economy is catching up to Ka6anos now.
It's one of those moments where I have to put my hands up and just sort of go, you know what? I was wrong. I was certain that it would be through the ocean he'd find success. But threatening the ocean meant that Ka6anos had to invest so many resources in the sea.
Yeah.
Giving him an opening in the south. All right, so he is going to clear out these cloaks. Well, most of the cloaks. Gets a defender there. That city's secured. There's no more coming. It's 12 units to 15, and actually for the first time takes the lead on kills. Now, obviously those were cloaks, but still, I don't think he can't get that giant off.
No,
I don't see whether he can.
Unless he goes for smithery here, or mining at least, and tries to push. But I'm not sure if he has monuments. He's placed 1 monument, 2 monuments. He's got killer. He doesn't have roads. I mean, Grand Bazaar, because he's only got the 4. But I mean, it's been 5 to 6 cities. Pretty much the whole game.
And it's worth mentioning at this point as well that we do have a cap on the timer. These games can go for a maximum of 1 hour, at which point it goes to a judge's decision. So you have to think, Ka6anos has to do something here, because even if it goes to the hour, We have 10 minutes left in this game. If it does go to the hour, then it's judge's decision. And you can't think, well, obviously it's up to the judge, but he's gonna have to, there it is. There it is. Viking the Cat goes to the final. We have our first finalist.